Learn English through stories I11 PDF. Adapted and modified by Kulwant Singh Sandhu. Contents: The Secret Diary of Adrian Mole 13-3/4, 1981 by Sue Townsend. January 23 RD 231 cent. Friday, January 23 RD. That is the last time I go to a disco. Everybody there was a punk except me and Rick Lemon, the youth leader. Nigel was showing off all night. He ended up putting a safety pin through his ear. My father had to take him to the hospital in our car. Nigel's parents haven't got a car because his father's got a steel plate in his head and his mother is only 4 feet 11 inches tall. It's not surprising Nigel has turned out bad really, with a maniac and a midget for parents. I still haven't heard from Malcolm Muggeridge. Perhaps he is in a bad mood. Intellectuals like him and me often have bad moods. Ordinary people don't understand us and say we are sulking, but we're not. Pandora has been to see Nigel in hospital. He has got a bit of blood poisoning from the safety pin. Pandora thinks Nigel is dead brave. I think he is dead stupid. I have had a headache all day because of my mother's rotten typing, but I'm not complaining. I must go to sleep now. I've got to go and see Bert Baxter tomorrow at his house. It was the right number, worse luck. Saturday, January 24 th. Today was the most terrible day of my life. My mother has got a job doing her rotten typing in an insurance office. She starts on Monday. Nar Lucas works at the same place. He is going to give her a lift every day. And my father is in a bad mood. He thinks his big end is going. But worst of all, Bert Baxter is not a nice old age pensioner. He drinks and smokes and has an Alsatian dog called Saber. Saber was locked in the kitchen while I was cutting the massive hedge, but he didn't stop growling once. But even worse than that, Pandora is going out with Nigel. I think I will never get over this shock. Sunday, January 25 th. Third after Epiphany. 10 a.m. I am ill with all the worry, too weak to write much. Nobody has noticed I haven't eaten any breakfast. 2 p.m. Had 2 junior aspirins at midday and rallied a bit. Perhaps when I am famous and my diary is discovered, people will understand the torment of being a 13 and 3/4-year-old undiscovered intellectual. 6 p.m. Pandora. My lost love. Now I will never stroke your treacle hair, although my blue felt tip is still at your disposal. 8 p.m. Pandora. 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 p.m. Why? 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 Midnight. Had a crab paste sandwich and a satsuma for the good of my skin. Feel a bit better. I hope Nigel falls off his bike and is squashed flat by a lorry. I will never speak to him again. He knew I was in love with Pandora. If I'd had a racing bike for Christmas instead of a lousy digital stereo alarm clock, none of this would have happened. Monday, January 26 th. I had to leave my sickbed to visit Bert Baxter before school. It took me ages to get there, what with feeling weak and having to stop for rest every now and again, but with the help of an old lady who had a long black mustache threw the key down, and I let myself in. Saber was locked in the bathroom. He was growling and sounded as if he was ripping up towels or something. Bert Baxter was lying in a filthy-looking bed smoking a cigarette. There was a horrible smell in the room. I think it came from Bert Baxter himself. The bed sheets looked as though they were covered in blood, but Bert said that was caused by the beetroot sandwiches he always eats last thing at night. It was the most disgusting room I have ever seen, and I'm no stranger to squalor. Bert Baxter gave me 10 pence and asked me to get him the Morning Star from the newsagents. So he is a communist as well as everything else. Saber usually fetches the paper, but he is being kept in as a punishment for chewing the sink. The man in the newsagents asked me to give Bert Baxter his bill he owes for his papers, PS 31.97. But when I did, Bert Baxter said, "Smarmy 'fore I'd get," and laughed and ripped the bill up. I was late for school, so I had to go to the school secretary's office and have my name put in the late book. That's the gratitude I get for being a good Samaritan. I didn't miss maths either. Saw Pandora and Nigel standing close together in the dinner queue, but chose to ignore them. Mr. Lucas is taken to his bed because of being deserted, so my mother is taking care of him when she finishes work. She is the only person he will see. So when will she find time to look after me and my father? My father is sulking. I think he must be jealous because Mr. Lucas doesn't want to see him. Midnight. Good night, Pandora, my treacle-haired love. 90. Tuesday, January 27, th. Art was dead good today. I painted a lonely boy standing on a bridge. The boy had just lost his first love to his ex-best friend. The ex-best friend was struggling in the torrential river. The boy was watching his ex-best friend drown. The ex-best friend looked a bit like Nigel. The boy looked a bit like me. Miss Fossington Gore said my picture had depth, so did the river. Ha! 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 Wednesday, January 28, th. Last quarter. I woke up with a bit of a cold this morning. I asked my mother for a note to excuse me from games. She said she refused to namby-pamby me a day longer. How would she like to run about on a muddy field in the freezing drizzle, dressed only in PE shorts and a singlet? When I was in the school sports day three-legged race last year, she came to watch me, and she had her fur coat on and she put a blanket round her legs, and it was only June. Anyway, my mother is sorry now. We had rugby match, and my PE stuff was in washing machine. The vet rang up to demand that we come and fetch the dog back from his surgery. It has been there 9 days. My father says it will have to stay there until he gets paid tomorrow. The vet only takes cash and my father hasn't got any. Pandora. Why? Thursday, January 29, th. The stupid dog is back. I am not taking it for a walk until its hair grows back on its shaved paws. My father looked pale when he came home from the vet's. He kept saying it's money down the drain, and he said that from now on the dog can only be fed on leftovers from his plate. This means the dog will soon starve. Friday, January 30, th. At Filthy Commie, Bert Baxter has phoned the school to complain that I left the hedge clippers out in the rain. He claims that they have gone all rusty. He wants compensation. I told Mr. Scruton, the headmaster, that they were already rusty, but I could tell he didn't believe me. He gave me a lecture on how hard it was for old people to make ends meet. He has ordered me to go to Bert Baxter's and clean and sharpen the hedge clippers. I wanted to tell the headmaster all about horrible Bert Baxter, but there is something about Mr. Scruton that makes my mind go blank. I think it's the way his eyes pop out when he is in a temper. On the way to Bert Baxter's, I saw my mother and Mr. Lucas coming out of a betting shop together. I waved and shouted, but I don't think they could have seen me. I'm glad Mr. Lucas is feeling better. Bert Baxter didn't answer the door. Perhaps he is dead. Pandora, you are still on my mind, baby. Saturday, January 31 cent. It is nearly February and I have got nobody to send a Valentine's Day card to.